for having said that, which was very strange because you would think somebody on a show like that would be interested in the truth. And the second thing, Michelle Obama, of course, is on her whining tour, I guess we could say that. And she said that while she was in the White House, she was under a particularly white hot glare. And those were her words, that they were so stressful in the White House to be watched by everybody. Wondering your thoughts on either of those two.
I'll start with the second first. Michelle, who was on the cover of Vogue repeatedly and who wasn't as First Lady? Ooh, you were on the cover, and Melania never was. Melania was a professional international model. I know Barack Obama said yesterday you were fine, but I think most people would say that Melania is as pretty or prettier than you are and more elegantly dressed, as not reflection on you, just that's what models are. But she wasn't on once. And let me ask you another question. Who was treated more unfairly, Donald Trump and Melania Trump, by the media? I'm talking now, NPR, PBS, NBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post. I could go on, or you? You. When Donald Trump made the cover of a magazine like the New Republic, he had a Hitler mustache. When you and Barack Obama, he was dressed like FDR and said, the new socialism is back. You were everybody bent over backwards to accommodate you. I know there were people on the fringe right that had sort of a Candace Owen you were a transsexual, all that crazy stuff. But by and large, in the midstream of the country, your memoir was a best-selling book. You were treated with kid gloves. So when you said you'd never been proud of the country, you said until Barack was a figure, you said it was a downright mean country. You said they always raise the bar on people like us. You were given a pass. You were given a pass, and your whole life was. You came out of Harvard Law School, and you were in a Chicago law firm. You wanted a sneaker account right away. And then when he was elected senator, they gave you a non-job for $1/3 basically at the University of Chicago Medical School to direct people away from the medical school who couldn't pay. You were always given either equitable treatment or exemplary treatment. And if you want to go Google and say, make fun of First Lady, see how many things come up under Melania versus you. And it will be much more. And nobody put a gun to your head and said, you have to run for president. You use that bully pulpit to push all of your issues. As far as altering the White House, you made a special little kind of nice organic garden. You did whatever you wanted. And yet now you're worth probably over $100 million. And no offense, but I don't think that you and Barack had any reputation, history, CV, resume of being particularly accomplished Netflix content thinkers, creators. That's what they gave you, $20 million? So you walked out of the White House. Remember Barack had said, I'm not going to run the president. I'm going to do it to transform the country. I'm not going to do it just to cash in. That's what you did. So can't you just say, this is an amazing country, that a black man and woman were elected president with the majority, with a greater white vote than the previous white candidate. But that didn't happen. Almost immediately when you came in, you gave the typical Michelle chip on your shoulder. Well, I was in a Target and a shorter woman wanted me to reach and didn't know who I was, so I had to reach for a package to give to her. It happens to all of us, Michelle. Happens to all of us all the time. And I was in local supermarket 2 weeks ago, and I pulled out a shopping cart, and the woman next to me pulled out a shopping cart. She didn't speak English, and it was full of what many of them are, trash, right? And then she said to me in Spanish, "Can I have your shopping cart?" I felt so offended. Just because I'm white and I speak English, you think you can just take my shopping cart when I didn't put trash in it, and you don't want to clean it because you don't want to touch the trash? But I gave it to her. And I have never mentioned that incident until today. I didn't digest it and get angry that, shoo, who is this person who's probably here illegally and doesn't speak Spanish? And she comes up to me, trágamelo, bring this over to me. Things happen in life. And you can't think that way. And life is so hard on you because you have a beach estate in Hawaii that you built, contrary to many environmental regulations. You have a abode on Martha's Vineyard on the seashore cliff. I think it's 20 acres. I think you have 2,000 gallons worth of propane on that. I only have 150. I have a 3-acre little house yard. We only have 150 gallons of propane, and you get 2,000. It's not fair. And my family at one time was bigger than yours. And then you've got your Calorama mansion. You still have your Chicago nice thing and your Tony Rezko acquired big yard. And yet that's not enough. All you do, we had to pay for food. We had to pay for food when we were in the White House. Well, most America, I really doubt that they sent you a bill for a ham sandwich. No offense. But it's all complaint. And she grew up with middle-class parents, and then she's now onto the DEI. And Barack said the other day, he's trying to whip up the racial sentiment. He said, and they just confuse. They just see a black guy and they say you got the job at DEI. Well, get rid of DEI and you won't think that. And in your case, Barack, you came with a mediocre record after 2 years from what we can ascertain from anecdotal evidence, since you wouldn't release your student records. And you went to Columbia, and then you didn't release your Columbian grades, and then somebody got you into the Harvard Law School. Would you please release your Harvard Law School admissions LSAT and GPA from Columbia, and then we will know whether you got in on DEI or not. Because you didn't really cut a wide swath as an impressive law student when you graduated, and you were going to be a constitutional lawyer, and you were going to work on contractual law for a year. And from what people tell us in anecdotal information, when you were given a year with no teaching abilities and a fellowship to write a book on what, contractual or constitutional law, you wrote about yourself. If you did write about yourself, there was accusations that Bill Ayers wrote it, and there were certain things in his memoir that anecdotes that were strikingly similar to yours. But let's not judge you. And it was a bestseller, and you were on your way to the races. So both of you have nothing to complain about. There are millions of people in America, Indian, Hispanic, black, white, who would die to have the opportunities that you have. But you can never let it alone. Till the moment you go to the grave, you're going to be complaining about this country. And, it would be like me saying, wow, my mom was a very strong Democrat. My dad was a very strong Democrat. They had to go to an Oakland conference once, and my mom was shocked because they pulled into a parking lot at a judicial conference, and 5 large black males surrounded them and threatened them. And then my father, who's very big, was willing to, but, they were probably armed. So he pulled out his wallet and gave them a couple of $20, said, please, my wife is a judge, and I'm not going to let you do this. Gosh, is that what black people do? I've never gotten over that trauma. I've never gotten over it, Michelle. And when I was at Stanford University at the time, my wife worked at the VA, and we were walking down the street, and she had a mental patient who saw her, and her job was to take mental patients on bus tours. And she saw one of her favorite people who actually had Down syndrome. And she was attending to him, and an African-American couple, 2 males came up, got right in her face, and started emulating the way that patient was talking, making fun of them. And I said, don't do that to these 2 nice people. And the next thing they knew, they were pushing me, and everything went downhill. And I have never thought of that until right now. but I am obsessed with it. What happened to me? So, go to East Palestine, Ohio, and live there for a year, and then tell me that you're the only oppressed person in the world. I get so tired of that, of all of these elite people of any race that keep complaining about how bad they've had it. You know what I mean? Oh, it's been so bad. I could do that too. Oh, I had another sinus operation. It wasn't fair. I've had 9 operations in my life. Now that I'm looking out a beautiful little studio, I'm looking at an orchard. I think I'm blessed beyond comprehension. I have these wonderful people listening to me, but it's so unfair that my operation didn't work well. That's what we get. I don't know why she does it. Same thing with Whoopi Goldberg. She gets her new name. She gets all of this. She was a good actor in Ghost, and she was in The Color Purple. She takes off. Was it Ted Danson was her boyfriend? And then she got Barbara Walters created The View. She had certain rules of decorum. It was very popular. If there were politics, there were 2 sides. It boomed. She died. The next generation took over and wrecked it. And everybody has been sued for lying for the first time, and some judges now consider that libel. So when somebody hands you a paper from your producer who's paying you millions of dollars, and you spout off on anything that comes into your mind, and they say, don't say that Donald Trump used the auto pen unless you have evidence. And she had none. And she said, well, it was just a joke. Well, people get sued for that. I don't know if he would sue them. I doubt it. But he has sued George Stephanopoulos for lying that he was a rapist 11 times when he was never convicted of that. And the same thing with the doctor and the Kamala Harris. So there is a lot of executives that are saying about The View, you guys are really controversial. You're not got very good audience share anymore, and you've got a lot of criticism, and we're all under scrutiny, so just be very careful. Instead, she tears it up, and then, and she said so many crazy things about the Holocaust and Jews, and it's all these people, I don't know what it is. They're all in privilege, they're all millionaires, and they all whine. Whine.
Yeah, I think that's what your audience thinks too. They listen to their complaints, and the audience and I both probably think, human life is like that. There are ups and there are downs, and we've all suffered ups
Not
and
under
downs.
DEI. That's why it's
Yeah.
such a pernicious ideology, because you can translate any personal unhappiness into a cosmic ism or ology against you. That on this Marxist binary, you're on the 30% victims, and the 70%. The problem is, everybody, there's not enough victimizers for all the victims. So you have to say I can't find racism, but it's systemic. It's everywhere. It's insidious. You need a radon racist detector in your foundation of your home to find it. It's in everywhere. So then, of course, you can't see it, you can't smell it, but it's deadly. But only me, Professor Kendi, can find it if you buy my book.